Okay, just a quick video for the keycap fit. It turns out there's a big variation in the stems for keys or the keyboard switches. So although the tolerance for the slot width here is really tight, there's a bigger tolerance variation in the stems. So these happen to be on the higher end of the tolerance. So what we're doing is trying to bring it over right in the middle, so it gives you a better start at least. If you get them and they are big, so if this slot is especially big, it's a little trickier than if it's small. So what I've been doing, and I plan to find a better way to do this, but for now what I've been doing is I'll take some pliers. As you can see here, I just put it all the way in like that, and I don't squeeze all that hard because we're talking very small amount here. I mean, enough, you'll have to kind of experiment, but I kind of give it a little squeeze, turn to 90 degrees, give it a squeeze, and then for now I'm using this. So this is, I just found a spark plug gap tester here, which, if you're not familiar, has a little thin area here, and as you come around, you can see it getting thicker and thicker and thicker. So, and this is in inches here, so you got 20 thousandths all the way to a thousandth of an inch. So just so happens that we're about in the middle in this area here for our gap. Our gap in millimeters is about, our target's about 1.21 to 1.22, which comes out on this to, let's say, 50 thousandths, 0.050. So what I do, so now that I use the pliers, so this gap is actually small, and you can see, because I'll start in the small area and I'll slide it around and it'll stop kind of somewhere in there. I don't know if you can see that. So we want to get further than that, and your gauge may be different, whatever you're using. What you're gonna have to do is experiment to see what number on this gauge fits well on your keyboard. At least for now, I plan to try to make a gauge. So what I do is I kind of wiggle it just a little bit, and that's bending those legs, and then I'll try it back on. I'll slide it back on and see where it stops. You don't force it, but you kind of see where it kind of just stops on its own without forcing it. And then I'll do that. I'll keep on working it until I get both legs. So I'd say about there. And we do have this tool here. We don't have gauge blocks. Plan to get some. So actually this is 1.19 millimeters through 1.21 millimeters. So this is still a little bit tight. You can see, I mean, it's about 120. Won't quite go on 1.21. So I'd come back, and again, after a while, what's going to happen is you're going to know how far, and whatever gauge you're using, how far you go in. You're going to have it down. You can see the shiny part on mine where I kind of know mine is, again, 50 thousandths. Get our millimeter gauge out now. Still too tight. So we're about 1.21. So that's where we're going to leave that one. So the other way to do it, if you got a big gap, the easy way, take some tape. This doesn't have to be, this is capped on tape. It doesn't have to be capped on tape. It could be, you could probably use Scotch tape, because it's really thin. This is too big, but let's pretend like it's a little bit smaller. I don't know if it matters too much, but all we're doing, essentially, I'm just going to show you the concept here, is we're covering that up. It's not quite covered up. We're covering it up like that, and then you put it on. So if your keycaps are really loose, what it'll do is it'll just slice through that tape when it goes on, and that very thin tape will take up the gap, and it should be fine. So that's the other way to do it if you don't want to adjust them one by one. But if they're small, of course you don't have to squeeze them with pliers. If you're small and you want them bigger, you're going to have to use one of these. Or a tool that, if you're seeing this video later, and maybe there's a tool on my website to adjust it. But as of right now, you can get one of those. So good luck.